Hello everyone, welcome to LL95 Intro to Basic Writing. I put this video together for two reasons. The first reason being is to welcome you guys into this class, and also hopefully it will help you guys get to know a little bit more about me and my background and where I come from and just some things I'm passionate about. And then the second reason is that this will be very similar to your first assignment that I asked you to do for this class. I would like you guys to actually make an introduction video like this one. The assignment has already been posted in Canva, so if you want to go check that out, you can. And you don't have to make it exactly like this video. You can add your own personal information into it and your own personal spin. But this is maybe just an example to help you guys get started. So I started with my background information, just a little bit about me. First off, I think this is interesting. You may or may not, but I am not originally from Kansas. I was born and raised in Michigan, and I didn't move down to Kansas until I was 23. I actually was recruited at a job fair. Great Bend High School went to one that was at Central Michigan University, which is where I went to college. And I interviewed or met with and talked with people at that job fair. And lo and behold, I got a call saying, hey, we would really like you to interview for this open ELA position. So that is how I made my way down to Kansas. I then stayed in Kansas because of a couple of reasons. The first being I met my husband, and his name is Reed. I actually put a picture of him in there. And we've been married for 5 years. We just celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary. He is or went to Kansas State to be an engineer. And so I think that's kind of interesting. I might talk about it every once in a while. Him and I think very differently. We have different ways of thinking just because we have different areas of expertise. But anyway, I'm super proud of him and what he does for his work as well. So I'll probably talk about him a little bit with you guys throughout the semester. We do not have any kids. I will get more into that in a little bit, but we do have a dog, and I won't say that I'm a dog mom because I would say this is Reed's dog. We got him together as a couple, but he is definitely a hunting dog, and him and Reed are like best friends. I am a middle child, and so I wanted to put that in there because I think family is very important, and I'm very close with my older brother, Ryan, and my younger sister, Anna. They're actually located down here, along with my parents. And speaking of, that is the second reason I decided to stay in Kansas, and Reed and I didn't move out of state or move back to Michigan. My sister actually met her husband at our wedding, and so now she also lives in Hutchinson, Kansas. So I have a ton of family that from that side as well that I get to see still being in Kansas, which it just worked out so great that way. The last thing I kind of wanted to include was just a little, like a few of my hobbies. It's no surprise. I like reading and writing, unless that is surprising to you, because I'm a professor in the language and literature department. I teach ELA, so I feel like that's pretty standard, but I really do. When I was younger, I used to read and carry around books all the time. And I used to write. I used to be very shy, and so writing was like an outlet that I had that worked out really well for me to do that. Or I had my family really fostered that in me, knowing that I was super shy. Same with like reading. I could like read a book and just travel anywhere, and I didn't really have to like interact a lot with people. I also was, when I was younger, part of my story and the reason why I'm so passionate about teaching English and teaching students to read and write would be because when I was younger, at the age of 2, I was diagnosed with a condition that essentially my eye muscles weren't forming correctly. And so I was very blind for the first like 4 years of my life. And I thankfully had somebody in the family like that was an optometrist and said, I think this is what is happening with her. And so what they would do to help me strengthen the muscles and strengthen my eyes would be to read and to practice and utilize the muscles. And so that was something for as long as I can remember, my dad and my mom would always read with me, like even when I was like 2 and 3 years old, and get me like visualizing things. So I also attribute that to why I love it so much, because it really did help me. Um, the other things I like to do, running is a big thing for me. I like to work out. I like to be physically active. I'm a very active person. I like to stay busy. I've actually ran a half marathon, go figure. Um, and I'll get more into that too in a little bit. The other thing I wanted to include on here, don't think it's a real hobby, but in my free time, I really do spend a lot of time with friends and family. I love spending time with people that just are the people that you care about and that bring you joy. So that has been a big thing for me, at least the past like several years, is just hanging out with those people. Um, my education, so I have gone to 3 universities. My undergraduate degree is actually in English and history, and I have a third degree, the way that Central Michigan sets it up, as far as like I got a degree in secondary education as well. So I can teach English, history, and all of the things in between, with an emphasis seventh grade or higher. After I moved down here, Great Bend offered me classes through the district, that were actually through Newman University to get my ESOL endorsement. And so I decided to go ahead and do that. And then I continued on and was able to go and get my master's at Fort Hays State University. And I was able to receive that in education. And so that is my education post high school. Um, I think that experience is something that is equally as important. Not just like what school you went to or what your degree is, but like what is your actual experience in that area. And so I also wanted to include that as part of my qualification or qualifications to teach this class, or just to teach in general. What are some of my experiences that I've had thus far that would actually help me teach you? So this is actually my 8th year of teaching. I taught 2 years at the high school in Great Bend, so I taught 9th, 11th, and 12th grade English. I also then got married, as I told you before, and moved down to Hutchinson, Kansas, and I have been here and taught at the 7th grade here for 6 years. So I've been teaching middle schoolers for the last 6 years. Along with just me having the actual experience in the classroom, I am a very involved person within my district. I'm actually right now currently the redesign co-pilot, which is essentially a initiative that all schools in Kansas are going to have to do, but I was asked to be on, or one of 3 that would kind of go through the process with or for my building. I also am the Stuco sponsor. I am the social class president, which deals a lot with the staff. And then we currently just adopted a new curriculum in Hutchinson, and so I was on the ELA task force for that as well. So the last part that I asked you guys to do in your video would just be, tell me your voice, or what are some things that you are very passionate about, or just what's your perspective, I guess. And then the follow-up to that would be, what's your analysis of it? Does that make sense for you, or has your background kind of led itself to make you believe in that or feel that way? Because everybody has their own story. And so I firmly believe that what we do, our experiences and our stories, shapes who we are and what we believe and what we think. And so I'm just really curious to know what you guys are passionate about and how that relates to you. This will also be something that is portrayed in your writing. Like, for example, the several things that I'm going to talk about here in a minute, I can see that they're general themes in what I write when I write things, or they're things that I will naturally gravitate towards. So that'll be pretty telling for you guys. And I also, through this class, you will have several opportunities to choose your topics for your written works, and so these might be some things that I hear you write about, or I actually read that you go through. So I'm just going to quick go over these with you guys and then try to analyze them. So the first thing I strongly believe in, I feel like everybody should be treated equal. One thing that I cannot stand, you can ask my 7th graders, is just disrespect and people being rude. I don't think that anybody's better than anybody, and I don't think that people should act that way. And so I would say equality is definitely something that I'm passionate about, and I will definitely fight for when it comes to other people. Along with that, I did put down here just differences of opinion. I 100% agree that people do not have to agree 100%. I think that differences in opinion actually are good. I don't think everybody should think the same way, and I don't think that somebody should be judged for the way that they think or the way that they feel, especially if it's an educated opinion. And so that is also something that and I feel like more in recent years, as I get older and I deal with several different types of people, that is a theme that I've just noticed about some people, that they just don't really like when people disagree with them. And so I will tell you right now, unless somebody is in physical harm or it's a terrible situation and that stems from somebody's opinion or something that somebody's doing like that, I'm not going to walk away or judge somebody or not be friends with them or not work with them just because they have a different opinion as me. I also, if I was going to analyze that, feel like that has been really important for me, because I will tell you right now that my husband and I are very different when we think about certain things. And we actually, I would even say we have different political affiliations. And so we still get along great. We talk about it. I hear his perspective, he hears mine. Sometimes we can actually convince the other one, like, oh yeah, that does make more sense. But not always, and that's okay. So I wanted to include that in there. And if I had to analyze why that's important to me, it probably stems more from my marriage and from also moving from Michigan to Kansas and just meeting different people. Education is another thing that's very important to me. Go figure. I really believe this was my true calling, and I've always wanted to be a teacher. And I just think it's so amazing that I'm so blessed to be able to do this and to give back to my community in this way. I'm very excited to be working with you guys at the college level as well and training essentially our next generation of workers. And so I wanted to include education on there, although that was probably right on the head on the nail. You guys probably could have guessed that. I included, and I think I write about this, and I really try to foster this in others, and I hold myself still accountable for this, but I put down here progress over perfection. I don't think that people are perfect. I don't think that I'm perfect. I think that we're all imperfect people. Go figure. But I do think it's important for people to continue to grow and to progress. That's why I went back and I got my master's degree. That's why I am now teaching at the college level. I think that it's just so important for people to challenge themselves and not be so stagnant, especially when you guys are younger, and when you have those opportunities to do so. So that's something that's super important for me. That's something I try to foster in my students, and I hope that you guys have that mindset as well. And the last thing on here, I wanted to include this. I think it's just honestly, if I was to analyze why I always gravitate towards women's rights, it would be because I am a woman. I grew up in a household or like a family with interesting dynamics, actually. My mom and like the women in my family are super strong, super opinionated, very boisterous almost. They were ahead of their generation, I should say. But then also, I don't know, there were some things that were very traditional, like some of the relationships had very traditional roles. And so I've just always been fascinated with those dynamics growing up. And then I also